We did it. It's the end. The parade. You wouldn't think you could tie a king-size mattress to the top of a '98 Corolla, but damn it, Frank did it. Jenny had insisted they rent a truck for the job, but he refused. He told her in as few words as possible that if she insists they drive the damn thing to the dump, then he insists driving it there his way. She did not argue because she too had no words left. The last week or so had been crushing. Once they got past the initial screaming, the relationship seemed to run out of words to say to itself. Frank and Jenny proceeded to handle each other in whispers, silence if possible. In this way, they agreed on the terms of their breakup. Jenny moved out, and once a day, she returned to divvy their things. His record player, her LPs. His paintbrushes, her canvases. But what were they going to do with the mattress? Jenny asked Frank if he was sure, absolutely sure, he wanted her to come with him to the dump. A fair question. They were looking at, what, a 4, maybe 5-hour drive? A bona fide road trip just to go to a place where trash lives. She didn't want to spend that much time with him. A commitment like that might require talking, so why risk it? When she asked him, however, he did not answer her question, only tied the mattress to the top of his Corolla and waited in his car until she figured it out for herself that he was not going anywhere until she got in. Because it was her great idea they drive the thing to the dump. So it's only fair she suffered the process too. Though he'd never admitted, he did have his doubts about the mattress. Unsure it would hold, he cruised at half the speed limit, kept the window down and his left hand out, holding onto the mattress by a tag, so tight his fingers numbed. The sound from the open window was comforting, though, a reprieve from each other's company. The wind whipping in from the valley, the cars and the vans and the SUVs and the semis passing on the fast lane. Frank and Jenny had lived together for so many years that their imaginations had coalesced. They did not know this, but for most of the trip, they were daydreaming about the exact same things. They wondered where all these people were headed, whether these people were coming or going. They created stories. That family there on a road trip to Las Vegas, that truck driver over there late to Vaughn's warehouse in Santa Fe Springs, that young, unsmiling couple in a car full of boxes, they too on their way to the dump. This went on for hours, a perfect harmony from a deaf orchestra. But like all things, this synchronicity of minds came to an end. Diverging, the two shared one final thought. They wondered what their ex was thinking about right now. Frank looked at Jenny, then looked away because she did not look back. Jenny looked at Frank and looked away because he did not look back. About a quarter of the way inland, it occurred to Frank just how ridiculous he must look. Some sad idiot in his tiny Corolla sticking his hand out to hold down his mattress. So he pulled his hand in and rolled up the window. He did not consider the consequence of this action. Now the window closed, they had to deal with the silence bottled within the cabin. Gone were the valley winds and the torrent of passing cars. Gone, all that remained was the pressurized sound of two people not talking. Frank and Jenny did not have to look at each other in the eyes to feel the weight of each other's presence. The cabin was small. No matter how they angled their bodies, there the other one was, right there in the periphery. God, this is going to be a long ride. And it was a long ride. The next few minutes as long as days. More silence they could not address. A few moments of almost talking, but not. Then more silence. Then more. Then more. Jenny considered slapping Frank for no other reason than to hear the sound. At first the thought came to her just as a joke, almost made her laugh. But the longer the thought sat there in that cloistered cabin, as if it were the third passenger, the more it seemed possible, justified, inevitable, alive. She was ready to do it too, each passing moment turning toward him and sliding her hand slowly down her lap to get the best angle. Just as she was about to pounce, come in low with an arc through the cabin air to womp him a good one right across the cheek, she saw the line of cars ahead swerve onto the shoulder to avoid something blocking their lane. When Frank reached the thing and saw it there, clear as death, he too had to swerve onto the shoulder. The mattress shifted, but the rope held. He returned back into the lane and they looked at each other. For the first time since beginning the road trip, they looked at each other and they both made faces like they were going to vomit. Jenny did not want to say anything to Frank, but it was just one of those things, so disgusting it needed to be spoken, to be expelled from one's body. It was a dead dog, Jenny said. Frank frowned. A bull mastiff, he said. His first dog was a bull mastiff. And that would have been it. Now that they addressed the roadkill, it had been excised from between them, and they could have easily just gotten on with the rest of their road trip in more horrible silence. But about half a mile down the road, the cars ahead of them swerved again onto the shoulder to avoid something in their lane. A little further up from that, the line of cars swerved again, then again, a metal snake through a maze of bodies. It was another dog, this one a golden retriever. Then another, probably a chocolate lab. Then another, a pit bull maybe? Then another, this one they couldn't even tell. They did not want to talk to each other. They had worked so hard nurturing this silence, but by the fourth dog, Frank took his eyes off the road to look at his ex-girlfriend. The hand she would have used to slap him across the face was now wrung with her other hand, so tight her knuckles were as white as fluorescent bulbs. So Frank spoke. What the hell? Is there a dog truck or something up ahead that's got like a hole in it? And Jenny laughed. She laughed and she laughed. Then Frank did the same, laughed and laughed. Jenny said, I was sure you were going to make a raining cats and dogs joke. Frank, he shook his head. He leaned forward over the steering wheel to look through the glass at the cloudless sky above. The road ahead lifted and curved into two wide hills that seemed to open to the sun. But Jenny, it's beautiful out. And, yeah.